Hello, everyone. In today's episode, I'll be speaking on how you can destroy self-sabotage. And this is a little quote that I like. Depending on how we choose to go about our days, this will determine the quality of our experience. That alludes to paying attention to the details. You have a choice each day. How you invest your energy and your time. That creates the reality of your life. It's a choice that we all make. The truth is, you can be the designer of your reality. And to design your own life, it requires having self-belief, because the conformist route is a life that someone else has designed for you. To be a conformist involves you not having self-belief, because if you had inner belief, you wouldn't feel inclined to try and fit in and be like everyone else. And this is a balance. Don't take my words and skew them as if I'm telling you to be some crazy, out of the box lunatic. No, I'm just encouraging you to be you, to be true to what you know is deep within, whatever values or ideas that you're drawn to. Maybe you question them, you take some time to think deeper. I'm not telling you really how to live your life. My goal here is to share the tools, the ways of perceiving reality that have allowed me to make the quality of my days better. I just want your days to be better. I don't care what you end up doing. That's your choice. Completely up to you. But there are universal principles. There are laws that they seem to connect between all of humanity. So by understanding these laws, we give ourselves the best chance, the highest likelihood to create a good, enjoyable life. And whether you are this or that, whatever label you want to put on yourself, I confidently can say that the majority of the human population aims to have an enjoyable life. Now, what we individually define an enjoyable life as, that can differ, all up to the individual, all depending on your experiences, your programming, the lens that you are viewing reality from. So I don't want you to try and fit in. Be you, but also understand there's a balance. You need connections. You need to be able to interact with other humans. Don't be some recluse, but also don't be a conformist little square who has no uniqueness, who doesn't know themselves. So it's a balance. It's a balance. It's key that you think deeply. You pay attention anytime that you are putting something inside your mind or body. For example, high school, I started using nicotine, these jewels, no idea of the consequences, rather young and foolish, open, gullible, curious. So that ended up being a terribly difficult addiction for me to overcome. Point is, when you try something new, when you put something in your mind or body, you really want to do your best to comprehend how what you're consuming is going to affect your mind and body. It's very open-ended. We can throw some examples, but the thesis is that what you consume, it changes you. And if you consume good things, they are going to lead you to feeling that way. You consume addictions, things that harm your body and your mind, you instantly will feel a bit of pleasure, usually. And then after that instant gratifying hit of dopamine, you're going to be left below baseline. You will actually feel worse than before you participated in that instantly gratifying act. So by knowing this, you can prevent self-sabotage. Usually most acts of sabotage are instantly gratifying. That's a good rule of thumb for the most part. And so on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you are participating in acts of delaying gratification, therefore, you're probably doing something healthy for yourself. Of course, I'm speaking in terms of averages. There, of course, can be delaying acts that are not healthy. But on average, if you spend 30 minutes, you invest, not spend, details in language. You invest 30 minutes reading a book, doing some breath work, etc. You feel better after that. You have just gotten yourself to a calmer state. Meanwhile, you take however many minutes to watch porn, you feel good instantly, and then you're left with lower dopamine, which is the molecule of pursuit. So lower dopamine means that it's going to be harder for you to participate in an act of delaying gratification. So there we go. The feedback loop inevitably has to be spoken of, because the more that you delay gratification, the easier doing healthy activities becomes. Therefore, your life gets better as that compounds. Same thing goes for the downward spiral of instant gratification. The more you indulge in that, the more addicted you become to activities of this nature. And there you go. You're in a self-sabotaging rut. And that might be what you need. See, my life changed when I got so sick of being sick and tired. You might need that. You might, this is the question that everyone needs to ask themselves. How much pain are you willing to feel before you realize your actions need to change? See, part of me knows that pain is uncomfortable. It's not good. But then another part of me knows that pain is a sign that your actions need to change. So we're talking pain is the thesis, the bottom line. But due to differing perspectives or angles that we perceive pain from, you can come to different conclusions. See, one person may say, oh, I'm feeling pain, my emotions are hurt, therefore I'm going to go drink alcohol, smoke weed all day, and suppress my emotions and feelings. While another lens could be, wow, I feel horrible right now. I wonder what I could do to make myself feel better that's going to make me healthier and stronger. See, feeling better could be the numbing, suppressing of your feelings. But when you add on that ending, feeling better, that is going to make me feel healthier and stronger. There's the difference. The difference is one leads you to a vision, while the other just doesn't care about the outcome. The other is caring about only your instant feelings in that moment. See, it's probably easier in the moment to indulge in the numbing of your emotions and feelings through a substance. But in the big picture, in the long-term outlook, that is actually the more difficult route. So paradoxical that this life is. You can create a peaceful experience by deliberately choosing to take care of your body and mind, your temple. And to deliberately and intentionally take care of yourself means that you are aware. You pay attention to the smaller details, to what most people overlook. But the reality is that the small habits that you repeat on a daily basis are what add up to create your entire life. So you could say, oh, the small things don't matter, but actually, the way that you practice is the way you perform. Every decision that you make is a vote for who you want to become. So something that's helped me is not being too strict with myself or too loose. What does this look like? Immediately, what comes to mind is this balance between having a structure and a routine, but having flexibility and versatility within your structured routine. Okay, so in the morning, I want to meditate, go to the gym, write a little bit. Those are like my priorities. So I don't really change those. I do that consistently. So that's quite strict. And at nighttime, it's quite similar. I follow the 3-2-1 rule. No food 3 hours before bed, no liquids 2 hours before bed, and no screens 1 hour before bed. That's quite strict. It's right in your face. It's black and white. That is the strict part of my structure and my routine. But besides the AM and PM routines, in the middle of my day, I have activities that I know I need to do, but there is no certain order that they need to be done in. It's just, okay, I know these will be accomplished, and maybe I do the hardest ones first, but I don't always do those activities in the same way. So this creates a bit of play within your structured routine. It's like you want to start the day specifically right because that creates the tone, the momentum for your day, and you want to end it deliberately, intentionally right because that sets the tone for your sleep, and the quality of your sleep runs into the quality of your next day. So it's important to have that structure in place because if you don't have a good morning or a good night, that can just destroy the middle of your day. But if you follow this structured routine, you take care of those extreme ends. Therefore, it allows for a bit of freedom and versatility during the day. You don't have to be a robot like 1, 2, 3 and just go from task to task. If I want to read one day, I will. What it Let me express this better. If I want to read my email list one day, I do that. If I want to read a book one day, I do that. Doesn't matter. I don't need to get super strict in what I need to consume. So here's this good rule of thumb. When it comes to putting out, you should know what you need to put out, what you need to create, what you need to get done. But when it comes to consuming, that can be a bit more flexible. At the same time, there needs to be awareness of what you're consuming. I'm not saying just consume anything, not saying that. But what I am looking to express here is I don't plan what videos I'm going to watch and learn about. I just have some people that are interesting and I pick whatever I'm interested in on that day. Same with what determines if I'm going to do a visualization practice or a meditation, a Wim Hof breathwork practice, journaling. What determines those rest activities? It is how I feel in the moment. Not strict, not structured, very loose and open to what I think I need at that moment. So it is a balance. There are some things you want to be very detailed and planned and strict with, while other areas you need to play. And too much strict, not good. Too much play, not good. Needs to be balanced. So the idea of faith and execution on a practical basis. This is a deep topic that is very interesting and valuable. If you are of this spiritual nature where you're confident that things will pan out the right way, that you don't want to worry and stress too much, but you just have a good sense of hope in what's going to unfold for you and the world in general, that's super good. It's even just speaking on that level brings a peace of mind into my voice, into my being. But that being said, there is also the practical and physical reality of how shall I pay my bills? What am I doing on a daily basis? Am I taking care of my body? What am I putting in my body, in my mind? So it's good to think bigger picture and have faith in the spiritual being that we are. But that being said, if you try to go and just meditate in the woods without taking care of the practical things, you're going to be eaten and ripped up by an animal. So it's like you can't get too far out there, but you also should have a sense of your emotions, of the spiritual nature of what we are. So this is something that most, I don't want to say most, but many people, they stray to an extreme. It's either success, sex, and supercars. That was me in high school. And now, oh, let me say this right. And then on the other spectrum, there's meditation, sit in a cave, don't care about money, don't care, be a celibate. Like, for me, I'm trying to find the balance between the two. Like, have the materialistic things. We are in this worldly experience, the physical world, but we're spiritual beings. So for me, it's like, yeah, girls, look good, take care of yourself, but understand yourself. Don't be attached to everything. Attachment is the root to suffering. So like play with the materialistic game, but don't be attached to the materialistic game. And to do that, you have to invest energy into your spiritual and emotional education, because without that deeper knowing that is derived from spiritual work, you will become absorbed and attached to women, to cars, to money, to status, etc. So it's so valuable if you can play that game and dance between materialism and the spiritual reality of life. So that's interesting. It's very open-ended, and each of our path, we all are going to end up on the same mountain or a different mountain. But the point is that the road to the mountaintop and the specificity of the mountaintop, that can be a bit different. So it's like we're all going to the same place or a similar place, but how we get there is going to be much different, and where we end up is also going to be a little different. It's like a thesis. It'll be very similar where we all end up, but each of our paths, each of our routes is unique to what we need. And that's an interesting one. See, you don't always get what you want, but reality, the universe, will forever give you what you need. So what pops into my mind is this King Arthur story. And I think I first heard of this, I'm pretty sure, from Jordan Peterson. But the King Arthur story is these warriors, they went into the woods at the darkest point of the woods, where it seemed to be the most intimidating. And by doing that, by going right into your fears, by taking on that which scares you head on, you actually raise the likelihood that you move through that fear. Because when you run, it seems to get bigger and bigger. But if you just say, I'm going into it, it's not as scary, and it's much easier to overcome fear. It's easier to be courageous. What's the definition of courage? It's being scared, noticing that you're scared, and still choosing to do that which you're scared of. Courage is not just fearlessness. Nope. Courage is recognizing you're scared and still just grabbing your nuts and saying, I'm doing this. I don't care if I'm scared. I'm doing it. And this reminds me of when there's a huge wave. I'm no sailor, not about that. But I've heard this story: when there's a huge wave, the best way to get through that is to go head on if you're in a storm in the ocean. So it's the same idea as the King Arthur story. We need to go head into that which we're scared of. For me, even my personal life experience, the most intimidating thing for me to do after high school was to not follow everyone else, to not go to university, to bet on myself, to learn about what I really desired to learn about. Very difficult, but such a rewarding thing. I am now at an amazing place in my life due to going straight into the fear. And for years, I was so uncomfortable, so full of self-doubt. And it was probably one of the toughest things I've ever experienced, going right into my fear and betting on myself. But the good thing is, when you do hard things, you get good rewards. When you do easy things, the rewards aren't nearly as valuable. So there's a lot of important points that come from this idea of going into your fear. This question is important for all of us to ask. Are you intentional? Well, what does being intentional look like? It involves a awareness of what you're placing your attention on at a moment-to-moment basis. So if you're not intentional, this looks like you pick up your phone unconsciously, you scroll for 20 minutes without recognizing you just scrolled. I've been there. I'm not making fun of you. I've been there. And it really can be summarized by unconscious living, autopilot living, where you kind of just wander through your days. It's like, oh, I have to do this and this, but you're not paying attention on a detailed moment-to-moment basis. And it's tough for me to get this point across, so let me run with some examples. And these are going to be extreme examples to express the point clearly. So rather than viewing a donut or alcohol as a treat, if you're intentional, you're real with yourself. You view a donut and alcohol as poison. And what this means is that you're looking from a bigger picture context, which alludes to the fact that what you put into your body affects who you become. And if you're consuming processed sugar coating, just cancerous donuts with a bunch of additives, preservatives, seed oils, etc., it clogs up your system. Just so many negative consequences to the consumption of a donut or any processed food. Point is, when you're intentional, you deeply understand how detrimental consuming certain things can be, and also how unhealthy it can be for you to get wrapped inside of a negative thought cycle. So intention, the thesis is probably paying closer attention to where your focus is, because what you focus on determines how you feel. And if you're unintentional, you're unaware of where your focus is placed. And therefore, you don't recognize that you are placing your attention on something that brings you uncomfortable, unhealthy feelings. So you are actually creating your own suffering within your mind without recognizing that this is what's occurring. And is that confusing, right? It took me, like even explaining it right now, I know that sounds wild, but that's the best way I can explain it. Maybe it makes sense. If not, that's okay. I think one of the main keys to intentionality is understanding and zooming out. So, with the donut example, it's not that the donut kills you like a deadly snake bite. It's rather that the donut is slowly killing you. You have a multitude of negative consequences that come from the donut. Brain fog, a bunch of added sugars, slows down your system, seed oils, which clog your blood flow, create blockages, lead to potential cancerous cells being created, etc. Just a boatload of horrible physical consequences, and it slows your mind down too. So it's, the mind-body connection is very real. Here's a little assignment, and I think it'll be very valuable for you. Number one, identify when you work best. For me, mornings. So I wake up super early to optimize that. Create a list of your most important task. For me, it's a combination of mixing both the business activities and the self-care activities like gym, reading, walk, education, etc. So figure out what your highest leverage acts are in this current season of your life. Knock out your key task as early as possible in the day. This is called eating the frog. Doing those difficult things immediately, or the task that you least want to do immediately, it creates this freedom within your mind. See, if we do the easy task first, then we have this pile knowing it's like this mental weight that is just on our shoulders all day because we know that we haven't done that annoying thing that we know needs to get done. So that'll help you. And create a daily schedule that allows for this to occur sustainably. Like I mentioned, I go to bed early compared to most people because I wake up way earlier than most people. And I don't care. I wanted to set up my schedule so that it allows me to work with my highest priorities. So that's another tip. Get real clear on your priorities. Most people have their priorities real confused. And then journal 30 minutes a day, just simply doing a brain dump. Like no agenda. You don't even have to ask yourself questions. Sometimes I just start like, okay, I'm writing and this is how I'm feeling or whatever. You just say, I'm going to start writing. I'm going to let my fingers put words on the paper, whatever. And then just do your best to flow. Just get the thoughts out, dump whatever you have in your mind onto that page. Very helpful. Let me know if this helps you. I would appreciate if you do benefit from this. You could, DM me, let me know, or in the comments. I would love to hear like what you've enjoyed from this video. If there's any specific points that you found value from that really like sparked your curiosity, I'm all ears. So let me know. If you're tired of the pain that you've been feeling and you're ready to make a change, well, the reality is no one can do for you what you need to do for yourself. But if you want a fresh, strong mind and body, and you would like to get to this fresh, strong mind and body as soon as possible, and you would like high-level one-on-one support, shoot me a DM on Twitter. Links will be in description. I want to see where these people are. Where are the people who are ready to make a change? Let me know. And to end off, just drop a like on this video. The point of me making these videos are to help others, and I also help myself by expressing myself right here. So it's like a win-win-win. I might help others, I help myself, and yeah. So hope you have a great day. Hope this was valuable. I appreciate you.